have you ever spent loads of time on your budget? You've worked out all of your income, what your bills are, how much you want to keep yourself in cash, and then worked out something really fun and cute with your sinking funds. And then when you get to the debt portion, you realize that you are over budget. As in, you've run out of money and your budget is now in a negative. That's exactly what's happening on today's Budget Bestie. Hi guys, girls, and non-body pals, welcome to Budget with Ira. My name is Ira, and on this channel we talk about budgeting, paying down debt, and saving up for the life that you truly deserve. If that sounds like something you'd like to watch, please consider subscribing to the channel because we do have a lot of fun over here, Bestie. We really do. In today's video, we're continuing the series of mine called Budget Bestie. Budget Bestie is a series where people anonymously submit their budgets to me. I take a look and see what I might do if I was in their situation. This is not financial advice. However, sometimes I can point people in a different direction that they might be thinking, but the real knowledge and the real power comes from the comments section down below. So if you would do something differently, please make your voice heard and please let me know down in the comments down below. And today's video is probably the most important times you could do that, because this is probably one of the most difficult budgets I've ever been faced with. This budget is flat out ready to be negative every single month, and I've made some decisions that mean that it won't be. However, these might not necessarily be the right things to do, and the reason why is because this is an American person and the economy's just so much different. So what I'm able to get away with in the UK, you might not be able to in other parts of the world. So it's a very difficult one, but I guess it's time, Bestie, that we get into this. So let's get budgeting, Bestie. So this person did submit a form, and when I asked them what their main financial goal was, they said to pay off my credit card as number one, save for future vacations, and get an emergency fund fully established that I can't touch, which is really reasonable. So when I say what's your main financial issue, as in what's stopping you from achieving your goals, they say lower income and inexpensive hobby. So they collect yarn faster than they can crochet. So you're about to see in today's video quite how much their hobby is costing them. So yeah, it's a very weird one. There is some debt, and part of that is federal and private student loans, which are currently deferred, but it's still not a problem that's going to go away. So we do need to take a look at that as part of the overall debt picture. And they also say, I live with my parents, my brother and his fiance at my parents' house. Collectively, we have in total 5 cats in the house. My only annual bill that I can think of is one yearly subscription for $50. My student loans are currently deferred until at least 2024 due to starting my master's program, which is quite good. They've got a load of things on the horizon, like their brother's getting married. Congratulations to this anonymous person's brother for getting married. But yeah, there's quite a lot to get into because this budget is absolutely wild. So yeah, that's the rough framework and what we've got to work with. So I think it's really important that we get and take a look at the numbers. So I think it's time to get budgeting, Bestie. So let's go and take a look at it. Okay, here we are with Budget Bestie number 27. Can you even believe we're on that one? We're going to be using my A4 paycheck bill tracker, which is much like the smaller A5 one, which is here for size comparison with the updated design. And today we're going to be using this one because we need a bigger sinking funds section because of the way that this one's laid out. So as I said at the start of this video, this is probably one of the most challenging ones that I've ever done. So Bestie, it's time to get cracking, yeah? Starting off with income, we have a small, well, modest income of $1,900, and it is because this person is a student. So there's $1,900, and they say it's about $1,900. So my hope is that sometimes that there is more money than this available. We don't have very many bills, so I'm just going to sort of go through them with you because normally I just do fast motion. But first we have is subscriptions, which I don't know what they are, but they add up to £60 a month. Then we have health, which for someone who is living in America is very important to have, so that's 60 as well. Pets is 100, and I'm not sure if that's a lot for America, but they do say that they've got 5 cats, so I don't know. And then they have tuition fees, which are $200. I don't know. if that's reasonable or not. And then they have an iCloud payment, which is $1. So already very, very small, and that is due to the fact that they live at home and they're a student and stuff like that. So we're in a good place with that, but we'll soon see where it sort of starts to spiral out of control. So let's do that. This adds up to $421, which leaves them with $1,479 for the month. So they've got three main envelopes. So the first one is groceries, what they sort of either contribute or they just pay for their own. So they give themselves $250 a month, and then they have gas, and that's probably to get to work and to school, which is $120. And then here it comes in with their hobbies. So it is a expensive hobby, or the way that they're doing their hobby is expensive. So that's $250 every single month, which I suppose when you work it out, let's get a calculator out here. So $250 per month times that by 12, that's $3,000. That's a fair bit. So currently they're spending $620 per month on their sort of getting to work and then their hobbies, which leaves them with $859. Now, they've been very prescriptive about their sinking funds. I am going to go ahead and just do this really quickly, and then I'll explain it all to you afterwards. Okay, so first of all, they've got their brother's wedding, which they're committing $100 a month to. That's something that's going to happen. They need to be there. Like, I totally get it. Then they like to do $20 a month to car maintenance, which probably means that they've got quite a new car, which is good. But they've got a car payment as well down there, which we'll get to. Then they like to do $50 a month to clothes, $60 to self-care, $200 to an emergency fund, $400 to a Europe trip, $40 to birthdays, $20 to holidays, and then they'd like to do a cruise, which is going to cost them like $1,200, but they're currently committing nothing to it because they're paying for their brother's wedding. So this is where we start to get into a tricky place, because all of what they're committing to their sinking funds actually comes up to $890. And if you remember up here, what we had left over is $859. So we're actually already running into a negative. Now, maybe their salary fluctuates quite a lot so that they can usually afford that $31. We're about to move into the debt area over here. So let me show you what it now does to it. So first of all, they've got a credit card. And as we remember, their credit card is their thing that they want to get rid of first. That's their number one ambition. Their minimum payment on that is $35. And then they've got a car payment, which they're classing as debt. So car payment, and the minimum on that is $400. Now, then they have student loans. So they've got student loans, and they've got the federal ones, federal, and then they've got student loans, and they are the private ones, right? So they are they're being deferred at the moment. So they're deferred at the moment, so they don't actually have to pay on them, but eventually they will. So the minimums on those are $351 for the federal, but they're currently paying $0. And the minimum on the private is $912, which they're paying $0. So at the moment, their minimums are $435, but what they will one day be is $1698. So obviously they're already in a minus figure here, but even when we take the $435 off the minimums, they are working at a buffer of negative $466. So we can understand now why they are adding to their credit card. So this minimum payment is only going to get bigger if they're only paying off the interest. But if they're then adding to it because they're running a minus figure of $466 each month, then the minimum's going to be bigger and bigger, and they're still only going to pay off the interest. So it's just going to start spiraling into a big issue. So I feel like there's quite a lot of work to be done within this budget. So obviously we want to work in an overpayment eventually. to get rid of stuff, but I am a little bit concerned by what I'm seeing here. So for me, if this was my budget, I'd be starting to batten down the hatches and really make a plan, because let me tell you what's concerning me while I show you this stunning purple pen. So the thing that concerns me is, yes, these student loans are in deferment, but one day they won't be. So where are we going to get this 1698? I know that we're currently studying for our masters, which is why we're paying tuition fees, and we'd hope to get a high paying job, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. So for me, I'll be trying to get myself into a bit more of a comfortable financial position to be able to do that. So obviously the first thing I want to talk about is, if we're spending so much on our hobbies, we're going to have a lot of yarn and we're going to have a lot of things that we're making. So I would try to set up a side hustle, selling our creations and things like that. So at the moment we're going to put 0 as the actual, but I'd be hoping to do that, because if we're spending a lot of time on our hobbies, hopefully we can sell a little bit of them. I am going to be super cutthroat here, so this might not work for everybody, and this approach might not work for everybody. I don't think we're like necessarily in dire straits, but we do need to get into a position where we can actually afford like to live. So first thing I'm going to do, absolutely cut these subscriptions to 0 to get rid of them, because I don't believe that this person can afford them. So this brings their bills down to $361, which leaves them with $1,539. Now, hopefully you'd be able to reduce the amount you pay on your pets. However, if your pets have certain medical needs, then I completely understand, and I understand that you would stand by that amount. But if you are in a position where you can pay less while still giving them the same or better quality of life, definitely research and look that up. What I would then do next with the envelopes is I'd encourage myself to sort of round that down as close to 200 as I possibly can. Just give myself $50 a week for groceries, and I know that's really difficult, especially if you're in the US, especially if you're in like a food desert area where it's not easy to get stuff locally. I know that is difficult, but I would try to do that. Gas is what it is. If you can get it down, do get it down, but hobbies is where you're going to have to make some significant sacrifices. Now, there's two train of thoughts, because even in your admission where you're talking about what you want to do, you were saying that you buy more yarn than you can actually do with it. So maybe it's a potential time to sort of knock buying yarn on the head for a little bit, so that you can actually enjoy the stuff that you've actually got. However, what I would also recommend you do, so that you do have some joy in your life, because we've just taken away all of your subscriptions, is to get like a yarn subscription box. So I know we're adding a new subscription, but hopefully this can stop you from spending so much on yarn. So I've had a look, and a yarn subscription box will have like patterns in it, different yarns, like really fun stuff. And in the USA, subscription boxes for sort of yarn and crochet and things like that, they range from $10 to $90. So I'm going to say go in the middle somewhere, maybe get 2, but don't spend more than $45, and that's what I would do. This brings your envelopes up to $365, which now gives you $1,174. And now I do believe there are some changes that do need to happen within sinking funds. So I'm going to keep Brother's Wedding, because you can't not be there. It has to happen. Car maintenance, if $20 works, I think that's a very reasonable amount to do. I think when we're in a situation where we can't really make it through the month without overspending $466, we're not really in a position to be buying new clothes. So I would knock that down to 0. Self-care is very important, and I would do $20 with that, but maybe that will add to this here, because it sounds like your hobbies are really important to you. Emergency fund is really important, and I'd always advocate having one and putting as much to it as you possibly can, but I would like you to reduce it to 60. And the reason why is because you live at home. There aren't many emergencies that you're going to need to respond to. I think the worst thing would be like a car issue. However, you are spending so little and so much that it looks and feels like you've got quite a good new car. So I don't really feel like an emergency is bound to happen. So still prepare, but I don't think you need to be as aggressive with it. I might be wrong, but that's what I believe. Europe trip, again, I wouldn't be even touching that. I wouldn't even be considering that. Birthdays, if gifting and giving for birthdays is important to you, do it. But please don't spend as much as what you are. And then holidays and cruise, I would immediately knock on the head. It's still going to be a lot of money that you're putting towards your sinking funds, and that's $220, which leaves you with $954. Now, your brother's wedding will eventually happen, so then maybe you potentially would redistribute this $100 into the things that you feel like you were lacking. So maybe you want to do more to your emergency fund or your, and whatever you want to, or you could move it down into the next section. So we've got 954 to play with, and then we've got debt to deal with. So obviously we'll do the minimum amounts, which is $435, and then I would do an overpayment of $500. Now we are going to do a bit different to what this person asked for. So they said that they wanted to pay off their credit card, then go on holiday, and then do stuff like that. But my nervousness is around when these are not deferred, what are we going to do? And I believe the best position you could be in when you start to have to pay these off, which is, you know, $1,400 a month, is to have both of these cars gone. So I'm going to do a debt repayment plan to pay off the credit card and the car payment as quickly as we possibly can using this 500. So let's flip over to the other side of this sheet and get this debt repayment plan sorted. So here we've essentially got two debts. So we've got the credit card, which is really small. So the fact that we're saying that a credit card is an issue and it's only $1,500, it sort of shows you where we're at with that. The minimum on that is $35, and then we have a car payment. So if we're hoping to get this car payment done, this is what we would do. We owe $11,500 on that, which is $400 a month. So going like debt snowball wise, if we have a snowball of 500, when we add that to the 35, that's 535, which means that we'll have this credit card gone in 3 months, slightly under 3 months, yeah. And then when we add the 535 after we've paid that off to the 400, it means we have a snowball of 935, which means it is 1 year, 12 months until that car's gone. So not necessarily debt free, but the scary debt and the debt that's stopping us from doing things with our money is gone in 1 year, 3 months. And then if in 1 year, 3 months time these start kicking in, we're going to have 935 available. So we'll be at least able to get this private student loan done. That is a very, very big repayment fee, but I understand that in America you take out huge loans for school. So I know the ideal goal is that you're going to be able to get a better job, but if that doesn't happen, this is what I would probably be working on for sure. Obviously when you're not in school anymore, you'll be getting a full-time income, so it should you should sort of be able to do that. But yeah, I think the current way that this person is spending their money is not really helping them for the future. I think they're obviously putting quite a lot of emphasis on their sinking funds and enjoying their life and stuff like that. But what if the worst happens? What is going to happen? Do we then get ourselves more in debt? I think what I would be doing if I was this person, and this is my own opinion, this is not financial advice as we know, is I'd be working really hard to buckle down and absolutely eliminate these so that my only source of debt is these, and it gets to a point where this, even though it's a really high amount of money, that is actually manageable. What you can't continue to do is continue to run your budget each month at a negative $466. So this is 935, which then leaves you with a positive buffer of $19. Now, I know it's only $19, but it is positive. So this is probably the approach that I would take. And I know there are a million ways. And I'm sure that someone who actually lives in America, who really understands student loan forgiveness and deferment and all that, could probably give a lot more insight into that. And maybe I've probably gone a bit too far and a bit too aggressive with the debt, but this is probably the approach that I would do, knowing that this could happen like in 2024. They could say, yeah, we want all that money, please. And what would you do? So at least if you are really aggressive on these right now, you're in a better position to make that happen. But all in all, yeah, it's tight and it's difficult. So sometimes, you know, you might not want to make those decisions, but that's probably what I would do in this situation. Please let me know down in the comments what you would do, because I'm sure there are 1,000 different approaches to this, bestie. Hi guys, gals and our Barry pals, thank you so much for getting through to the end of the video. You know I love it when you get through to the end of the video. Please give this video some love. Make sure you like, comment, share and subscribe, and if you are going to comment, please use this emoji. What would you do in today's budget, bestie? Because for me it was really tricky. I made decisions about get rid of subscriptions, get rid of this, get rid of that, because I believe that those student loans, they're a coming. What, you know, just because they're deferred now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to come knocking on your door next year. Like, it's a scary prospect, and I believe that probably the right thing to do is to get yourself into a financial position in order to be able to effectively deal with those when they arrive. And we're not talking about clearing mass amounts of debt and paying off your student loans really quickly. It's about being able to afford just the minimums when they do come a knocking, because bestie, they will. I also think this person should really consider starting up a side hustle if they have time. Obviously they're doing a master's program, so they might not necessarily have the time to be able to commit to that. But if they're spending enough time on their hobbies to be spending what they were spending, then potentially they're churning out quite a lot of like knitted stuff. So potentially they might want to start selling that, because every little helps, right? But what would you do, bestie? Please let me know down in the comments down below, because there is more than one way to skin a cat. Thank you so much for getting here, but an extra special thank you to the channel members and the patrons, because without you, I truly mean it, I would not be here. Patrons get exclusive content, sneak peeks and significant discounts off my Etsy store, so if you'd like to join them and support me over on Patreon, please take a look at the link in the description. You will not regret it, bestie. That's all we have for that budget, bestie, this week, and until next week's budget, bestie, I would like you to have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, and have a wonderful budget. Always remember, don't trust Ira. And bestie, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.